Hello, fourth grade, and welcome to 3.4, Use Area Models and Partial Products to Multiply. And so you should be on page 93 right now. You can go ahead and read the I can statement. I can use area models and partial products to multiply. And let's go ahead and begin with our math fact of the day. Use structure and what you know about calculating area to solve this problem. Show your work in the space below.
Use only the numbers shown on the diagram and the operation symbols plus, minus, times, divided by to determine the area of the unshaded rectangle. Solve this problem using any strategy you choose.
So let's go ahead and observe what we can see on this part right here. So you'll see that we have 8 rows, but originally the columns were 10. Since we already know about this part right here being 4, it says here, determine the area of the unshaded. So that means we're worried about this part. If I know that this part has 4, then that means this part will definitely have 6, because 6 plus 4. So let's go ahead and put our 6 there. 6 plus 4, that'll give me that total right there, 10. So now I need to find out what is 8 groups of 6 or 6 groups of 8. And so that means I'm going to go ahead and multiply 6 times 8, which I know is going to give me 48. So 6 times 8 give me 48 for the unshaded part right here. And then you can go ahead and try answering the look back. Are these equations equal? So here, when we look at 8 times 10 minus 4, because 10 minus 4 is going to give you 6. And then that'll give you your n. So 8 times 10, that'll give you 80. And then 8 times, or actually this part right here, 8 times 10 minus 4, that was going to be 6, and that was our unknown here. So now we would have had 8 times 6, and you would have gotten 48 for this part. And this one, you'll notice that it had 8 times 10, and 8 times 4 equals n. So here you have 8 times 10, which will give you 80, and then 8 times 4, which would give you 32, and then 80 minus 32 would also give you 48. So yes, these equations are equal. Let's go ahead and start with our math video. We're currently on page 94. Please make sure that you're following along. And we're now on the math video. Please make sure that you're following along with the example in your book.
How can you use an area model and partial products to multiply? A garden is in the shape of a rectangle. It is 8 feet wide and 25 feet long. What is the area of the garden? How can you find the area of the garden?
Select your answer.
Since the garden is a rectangle, multiply its dimensions to find the area of the garden. A numerical expression contains numbers and at least one operation. 8 times 25 is a numerical expression. You can use a rectangular area model to show multiplication. The product of 8 times 25 is the area of the rectangle. 8 times 25 is about 8 times 30 equals 240. Break 25 into tens and ones. The smaller section represents multiplication of the ones. The larger section represents multiplication of the tens. 8 times 5 equals 40. 8 times 20 equals 160. 160 plus 40 equals 200. Eight times 25 equals 200. The area of the garden is 200 square feet. The product, 200, is close to the estimate of 240. The answer is reasonable. Does 12 minus the quantity 4 times 2 equal the quantity 12 minus 4 times the quantity 12 minus 2? Explain.
This is on the convince me part on the bottom of page 94. So make sure that if you're completing this part, you answer it neatly. So here we can see, does 12 minus 4 times 2 equal 12 minus 4 times 12 minus 2? And so when you look at this equation, you'll notice that 12 minus 4, that'll give you 3, or 12 minus 4, that'll give you 8. And then 12 minus 2, well, that's going to go ahead and give you 10. And so if you solve this equation, you would have had here 10 times, in this case, 8. And it's asking, is that equal to 4 times 2, which is 8, and 12 minus 8. So 12 minus 8, that would have given you 4, but 8 times 10 would have given you 80. So these are not equal. Let's go ahead and continue with our notes and guided practice. Here's another example if you wanted to look at how to solve using a 3-digit number and how you can use that area model. For 3.4, we're using area models and partial products to multiply. In case you forgot, a numerical expression is an expression that has at least one operation, as in multiplication, division, addition, or subtraction, and is another way to say an equation with numbers, numerical numbers. For example, 2 times 5 equals 10, or 10 divided by 5 equals 2. An area model is a rectangle used to model multiplication and division of whole numbers. So for example here, 2 times 5, this is one way you could have done it, or 2 times 3 and 2 times 2, because 3 plus 2 makes 5. The distributive property is another thing we'll be using, which is multiplying a sum or difference by a number is the same as multiplying or dividing by breaking apart a number into each place value and adding or subtracting for division. For example, 3 times 21 is the same as saying 3 times 20 plus 3 times 1, plus 20 plus 1. So I only need to break apart one of the numbers, one of my products, one of my factors. When I'm trying to solve a multiplication problem, I can change a numerical expression into an area model to show the equation and help me solve. For example here, 8 times 25. Well, how can I do that? 8 times 20, that's one way, and then 8 times 5, and that's how I can show it over here. And so now, you'll notice that when I did 8 times 20, that got 160, plus 8 times 5, which gave me 40, and that gave me 200 total. I can also solve, or I can also use the standard algorithm to solve. And here we have 25 times 8. So again, partial products. 8 times 5, again 40. 8 times 20, that gives you 160 for tens place. And your answer would have been the same, 200, right there on the bottom. So I can draw an area model to show and solve an equation as long as I break the add-in completely. Now for the guided practice, it says what numerical expression is shown by the area model below. So here we can see one of our factors is a 7. So that means now I know I have 7, and we're multiplying it by 200 plus 60 plus 5, or 265. That's it. Didn't ask you what's the total, what's the product, nothing. It just wants you to realize that we broke it apart into the place value. For number 2, multiply, use the area model and partial products. So here we have 7 times 560, or 560 times 7, same thing. 7 times 500 is the same thing as saying 7 times 5. In this case, we know 7 times 5 is 35, and then we add 2 more zeros, 3,500. 7 times 60, that's the same thing as saying 7 times 6, plus a 0, so 7 times 6 is 42, and add a 0 at the end, 420. So now if you're solving this, you could also do it as this, 3,500. Make sure you line them up properly, and then 420. When you add both of them up, you should get 3,920. And that's it. For your independent practice, please make sure that you are showing your partial products and solve using your area models. And don't forget to complete all of the questions front and back. All right, that's the end of this lesson. I will see you in 3.5.